Tiny, sometimes people are working really hard and everybody needs support, of course, but people have feeling that everybody wants them to fail. Why does that happen? Why do they have that feeling?
All right. In long-term goal setting, what happens is that there's two trains of thought there. One is that you don't tell anybody your goals. That way you don't have people sort of constantly asking you, why haven't you finished this, that and the other. The other one is to, basically tell everybody what your goals are. Some people will support you. Some people, will get a bit jealous, as we talked about before. So it's really up to your own personality to sort of say, okay, am I going to keep my goals secret to myself and just keep plodding along, or do I need, support, or do I need occasionally a kick up the bum? But because if they're 2 years, 5 years, 10-year goals, like the first few years of your goal, you're not really achieving much. You're not really scratching the surface. It's like hitting a wall. You might take 1,000 hits on the wall, but then 1,001 the wall breaks down. So the challenge with letting people know your goals is that sometimes they'll be jealous, as I said, sometimes they'll be supportive. It is one of those things, it's an individual thing. Your main thing is just to keep focusing, and as I said before, if you expect some people that, they want you to fail, well then that's fine. You already know a certain percentage of your friends or bits and pieces, and relationships change over the years. You could have supportive friends, supportive families to begin with, then they're not, then they come back, and then they realise, that they are. I mean, one of the things that I try and tell people to avoid is to do things because people say you can't, or people aren't supporting you. And sometimes, let's say a typical situation, a father and son, and then the father keeps saying, you're never going to achieve anything, so forth, so forth, so forth. And the son's motivation is to prove him wrong. We get into a position where 4 or 5 years down the track, the father actually comes back and says, listen, son, I actually have made a mistake. You actually are, doing what you said you're going to do, all this and that and the other. And the father sincerely apologizes. All of a sudden, that person's, because he's only had one motivation to prove his father wrong, ends up starting to go backwards, because that was his main drive. That's why I always say to people, have 10 or 15 different goals, different drives, different reasons, so that if one, in the case of the father, ends up saying, listen, son, I made a mistake, where can I help? This is where it becomes tricky. So in a sense, do expect people to want you to fail, okay? It's just normal human reaction, why is he better than me? I'm better than him, so forth, so forth. So there's lots of emotions there, but stick to your guns. At the end of the day, your goals are your goals. Stick to your guns no matter what anybody around you says.
Is there any way to find a group that can support us or something like that?
There is groups. I mean, a lot of the time, some people are fortunate to have friends from school, and then they've continued on for the rest of their life. There's a thing called mastermind group. A lot of people use that, where you have imaginary, successful people around you, and once a week you have a meeting with those. So that's been done over the years, where obviously you can't get to Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or some, Elon Musk or things like that. So they have what's called an imaginary meeting each week, and saying, okay, throw some ideas around. At the end of the day, I say to people, whatever works for you, okay? Whatever works for you. You can have mentors in books. A lot of the time, there's a saying, you are who you are except for the things that you read and the people that you meet. So it's pretty much straightforward. So if you can't get to the right people, get to their books.